All right, I think we can begin. So, today I want to show you how to make your own stamps. These are like postage stamps, but they are not really postage stamps because they have no value other than just your own aesthetic, uh, enjoying your own aesthetic as a stamp. But I think the technology of making stamps was quite interesting. And if we look at that, we get an idea of how we can create something that was created about 200 years ago, which had an adhesive, which could also be available in rolls or in sheets, and perforated so that you can cut a small piece at a time, ensuring that everyone who cut it gave the whole value of the stamp, not just a part of it. So, I generally, when I do these kinds of projects for myself, I like to look at the application of that technology. Even the idea of perforating is is somebody's brainchild. Somebody must have thought, how am I going to make this thing available to a number of people in different places? And it has to be as dumbed down, or what is it called, idiot proofed as possible. Nobody can tear it in wrong, or everything should be right there. So, interesting things about stamps, you notice that each of them has an identity. There are people faces, there are birds, animals, whatever, and stamps have been used to promote an idea for a culture or a country uh, over several years, since postage was so important, at least till the internet came about. So, I want us to enjoy the making of a very tiny bit of art. And in order to make it look like a stamp, we have to go over a few things in stamps also. So, I'm going to share some images of stamps which will help us study them. Oh, sorry. Where is our group? Okay, I'm sharing a few stamps with you for inspiration. And as far as I'm concerned, I've just loved stamps ever since I was a child, because it's like a little artwork you get. It's like a mini artwork. So if you look at these, they're just so stunning. They just have such beautiful aesthetic. So this is obviously a series. So Magyar could be Hungary. You have the picture of a bird, probably in its habitat. Then you will have the name of the country or the postal service. You would have probably the name of the bird that you see, and you will also have some denomination, which would be the price of the stamp. So what I like about this is that for those who can read, the letters make sense. But for those who are unlettered, you just have to look at the picture, and maybe just you'll know that I can put a picture of a hoopoe, and that will be what is needed. So I like that it is not meant for just elite educated people. That's how the differentiation in stamps also works. Many stamps are available as a series. So you'll have a series. Everything I've collected seems to be birds, just because there's so much you can do. And these almost look like what we are going to do today. They seem to be illustrated. There's no clear text on this, so you can't tell whether this is an actual stamp or not. Now here is a simplified stamp. They also have a year. Sometimes a year is celebrated, or stamps are used to celebrate a particular idea, or maybe an institute, or some draw attention to some activity or the other. So in this case, it looks like 2016 was a year of sea animals. And this is very simple, where they've just used silhouettes of the animals also. So a graphic stamp also looks really nice. And these are just gorgeous. These are, I think, they're not even stamps, they are postcards which have been printed to a small size and then have been perforated and cut to be used like stamps, but maybe mostly in like your collage journals. Again, here you have a black and white illustration with maybe the habitat in just a monochrome color in the background. Right. So I think we can first start off making either a rough sketch, or if you want, you can take a small paper like this and start drawing on that right away. Let's look at maybe drawing a simple. What should we draw? Okay, let's draw this bird because otherwise you won't get time. So we want to draw a very tiny representation of this bird. Normally we make this maybe about 2 or 3 inches tall. This time everything, the bird and the apples and everything, is going to be within maybe an inch height. So we have to miniaturize this big time. But the normal technique we use of making those squares and the shapes accordingly is exactly the same thing that we used, even if we are going to make it pretty small. All right, so let's start off. I'm first going to make a proportion of the picture. So we have one square, divide that in half, 3/4. Oh, let me take this up so it's easier for me to drag it down. In a situation like that, you can also draw all 4 lines in the scale, because it's easier to check if you have indeed got the lines in the right place. Make the adjustments, and then I can make a square that is 3/4 distance. And pull that down. So do you get the proportion? It's 1 square and 3/4 of that square, 1.75. Sorry, 1:1.75. That is the proportion. So that will give us the outside rectangle. And if I continue to draw these lines, breaking up the space, it should give us the proportion of everything else. So we have 4 squares by 7 squares. Okay, is everyone okay with this? All
I'm
right.
a little lost, Aditi. How big did you make the initial image? Really tiny, is it?
No, I haven't made anything. We are just,
Okay, just okay, fine, fine.
right now we're just studying the proportion, and then we will go and make the image on paper. So don't draw anything. I just want you to see
Okay.
how I have cut up the image and made proportion out of it. Okay, so now over this I can draw, sorry, where am I? Now on top of this I can draw the section in which we have the bird, and that bird has got a different proportion. Now we know its placement. Its placement is between the second row and no, so second column and third column, and third, fourth, fifth, sixth rows. That's how we know where it is positioned. But I want to also draw the proportion of the bird itself. So as usual, you will start off with a circle because it gives us something to hold on to. It's easy to see circles in the heads of birds. Then using that circle, I will draw a line from the beak past the eye. So the eye, the beak, and this black patch, all of that is covered. And the eye is not exactly in the center of the circle, but it is bang in the center of the picture. This, by the way, is often a technique of composition. Okay, then we have the body. The green lines are going to help us get the shape right. And then from the eye, maybe we can draw a line. So when I'm making these lines, I'm looking for something that is very objective. There is no, there aren't any ambiguities about where the line comes. Like these two lines I have drawn from the side of the bigger circle so that I know where the wingtip is going to come. And then based on that, I know where I have to draw the body and how far, and the wing from the other side as well. And all of this also, I will keep an eye on the angles. So objectively speaking, straight down would be 6, maybe this is at 5, and this line would be somewhere between 5 and 6. That's it. Okay, and we'll draw the apples very loosely also. Has everyone got this? Do you have any questions at this point? Okay,
Thank
I
you.
do have a question.
go
I'm
ahead.
going to draw this in this oblong rectangular shape.
Yes.
Okay. It won't be a square stamp,
No.
right?
No. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. If you have any questions come up later on, feel free to stop me and ask. Yeah.
Okay. So how long you're going to tell us the proportions?
I will. I will. Yes. Okay. Okay, so I have a paper that's this big. We don't generally get stamps that are this big. I have shared a graphic with you which also tells us general shapes of stamps. Now remember, this is a stamp you probably want to put on an envelope that you are decorating and giving to someone. So this is not going to be a postage stamp. This could be a stamp that you are handing over to a person, and you can decide what the size and proportion of your stamp can be. So let's say I have a bunch of envelopes. Just bring those out. It helps to have some envelope handy so you can measure them and decide on how big your stamp should be. It's such a shame that we make all this in completely enthusiastic, and then we realize it's either too big or it's going to hide all the important data like the name, where the stamp, the letter has to go, or even giving you any space to do that. So let's say we just want to write the name of a person and we want to put a stamp. So I have this envelope also. And depending upon the size of your envelope, the size of the stamp needs to change. So if I have the small red envelope, I can make a rectangular stamp that's about this big, which can be, let's say, an inch and a half, maybe. That same stamp can work on the blue envelope as well. Or maybe because I have more space, I can make a larger stamp. So just for right now, I'll make a stamp that is 2 inches long. Now we are not going to make a stamp in the corner. So we can more or less measure 2 inches. So I'm giving myself some space, and I'll draw a line to mark at least 2 sides first. You just make sure that there are rectangles, right angles to each other.
Making a rectangle. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I'm making a rectangle. So if our height is supposed to be about 2 inches, then the width is going to be shorter by, I'm not going to give you fractions in this, sorry. Let's take the width to be about 3 centimeters. Right now we have measured it, but you can easily just take a finger's measurement and decide how much you want it to be. And then you divide this into 4 parts with 3 lines. And you can take this measurement that is 1 square, and then 3 parts of that to give you the proportion that we need. And let's check if this adds up to about 2 inches, no, two and 2.5 inches. I think that should be fine on my blue envelope. Yeah, why not? So I want you to be able to make these kinds of measurements very arbitrarily. We have to learn to make our art fairly organic. Now divide these spaces into all the sections that we have marked before. So we have four blocks horizontally, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 sections vertically. This is the proportion of the bird. Let me just share that screenshot with you. Now, according to the screenshot, we just start drawing these things very loosely.
Arti, sorry, one sec. You said 2 by 3, right?
2 by 3?
Inches? I mean, that's the measurement you took?
No. Centimeters.
Oh,
Horizontally, I measured 3 centimeters. That's
ah,
it. And then I just broke this up into sections and then just eyeballed it. And this is the point where you have to trust the process. This is something that I have been hearing for a while now. Have you been hearing this? Trust the process. When you're making the lines on your sketch, you feel what is shown to us according to the vertical horizontal grid we have made does not look correct. So we start making changes before laying down all the data. And in that, sometimes we make mistakes very early on in our composition. So in the beginning, just stop seeing the lines as the bird at all. Just see them for what they are and trust the process and just draw them in the place according to whichever square they're supposed to be. More often than not, students have been, I guess, cheated in a sense by their own lack of faith. Once you're comfortable with the bird, you can draw the apples, placement of the apples at least. And edit the amount of other data you want to put in. So we have these two apples over here. You don't have to draw all the leaves behind there. We have the bird sitting on this branch, and then maybe there's an apple over here in the backdrop. And maybe put your own leaf over here, that's fine. Once you're comfortable with the drawing, you can erase the construction lines. And now you can refine the lines also. So for something this tiny, if your pencil is not sharp enough, you can use clutch pencil also, mechanical pencil. But remember that we are not going to make all the details of the bird. So just make a cute-ish looking bird, and that's good enough for this illustration. Some details we are going to definitely put in, like the broad color strokes, but most details are going to be fudged around because this space is so tiny you can barely see anything. So if or when you are really ready for a challenge, you can definitely make all the fine details in a picture this size. I think these miniature pictures look beautiful. There's an artist called Jan van Eyck, a Dutch artist. You should see some of his paintings. Eyck. I think this is the He was, what was his, 1 minute, I have written this down. Jan van Eyck, yes. 1390 to, I think, 1441. He was the one, in fact, who also invented watercolor, as far as my research has gone. But he is known for the painting of what is called the Arnolfini marriage. This is painted in 1434, and his painting,
Pasty looking woman with a headdress and somebody holding a hand, that one.
yes, and
Yes.
you should see the mirror in the backdrop.
Yes. What detailing these Dutch artists used to do.
It is this artist particularly. He loved putting details. Didn't somebody share a picture of a painting where the doves, oh no, rabbits were being crushed?
Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah, so that was Jan van Eyck painting as well.
Yeah, that was the Madonna and the baby, and there were these pillars, and underneath were the rabbits getting crushed.
Yeah. Okay, now we are going to keep our painting only close to the center. Don't draw it going to the edges. Anything that is close to the edges, we are just going to ignore. So when you are drawing this or painting this, keep your hand very light and just draw almost like a dotted line for where the paint has to go. You don't have to make it too fine, the line, since we are going to paint over this. And now this leaf on the left is going outside of the page, so I'm going to omit that. Just keep everything in within the boundary. Now remember, though we have made the picture according to its proportion, you can decide and cut the picture wherever you want. So if you feel that I want to just cut it over here, don't want the tail of the bird or whatever, that's totally up to you. I have made my own leaves at the bottom. And now I'm clearing out everything, even reducing the boundary lines, because we are going to do a little bit of wash in the backdrop. So let me know when you are done drawing, and then we can make the wash. And then while this dries, I will show you a simpler stamp. For the Jaipur retreat this time, we are doing a workshop with a miniature painting artist, a miniature painter. And he is going to teach us how to paint flowers, I believe. So this artist, he is a seventh generation miniature painter, which means, let's say, generation wise, at least 150 years, his family has been painting miniatures. So, but according to Ritu, he is such a humble guy. He doesn't realize what a treasure he is. So he was most impressed that we were going and we were going to do this workshop with him. It's so sad that their skill just does not get the kind of what's the word? That respect that they should have, I feel. Okay, is everyone's bird ready? Okay, now today we are going to work with, yeah.
I sent you a photograph. Can you help me with the color palette? Because otherwise my whole thing gets messed up.
Oh, okay, sure. You have sent a picture where? Ah, okay. Not on the group? You didn't share on the
So I
group?
send it to you. I'll send it on the group.
Yeah, send it on the group. Yes. Okay, good. So now I'm going to tell you where what we're going to start off with. So the backdrop is going to be a green, which can be this warm sap green mixed with a little bit of uh, raw umber. So Palak, I'm just going to tell you which colors to use. You can use this color. In isolation, you can just use that color. You don't need to mix it. But just so that you get multiple pigments in, you might try adding. Have you made a color chart of this color on paper?
No, I don't know how to do that.
Oh, it's very simple. You just take a sheet of paper
Mhm.
and you mark the number of canes
Yeah.
you have,
Okay.
and then just make a dot of each of those. So on that paper, you will see how that color looks.
But
Because,
how thin should I keep the paint when I'm making?
sorry?
How thick or thin should I keep the paint when I'm making this?
Any amount is fine because what's happening is that in some of the darker colors you can't really tell how dark the pigment is.
Okay.
Very often in the colors which are towards the bottom, like the burnt umber and all, they look much darker in the palette. But when you start painting, it looks somewhat like this. It's very
Hmm.
deceptive.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sharing the colors. Okay.
So I have to mix these two, is it?
Yes, I'll show you how. So I'm mixing my and use small to medium small brushes. So nothing above a size, not even seven, I would say. Two, three, four is good enough. So the first part is where we're going to give the wash. This one I think is equivalent to a number four, and I'm mixing a color using sap green and raw umber, which is this one between black and white. And we are going to give a wash around the bird, but not the entire stamp. I mean, you can give it around the entire stamp also, but I'm going to give it just like a cloud. So we don't want it to be too dark, not too much pigment. And before you start painting, just dab away all the pencil marks that you don't need. Make sure that we don't have too many dark marks. And when you are painting this part, paint around the bird like that. So keep your brush pointing towards the edge of the bird. Don't paint on the other side of the bird like that, because invariably some part of that is going to come onto the bird. So turn your paper around, and I suppose we could also omit painting the apples. And don't go to the edge. So keep your eye on the edge. Now, if a little color does go into the apples or into the bird, it is not going to look too bad. And here's something I want you to see. When you want the edge to be a little fuzzy, make this stroke. Just press your brush down and let it go. If you paint with the tip, you don't get a fuzzy edge, you get a very sharp edge. We want to avoid that. All right, now while this is drying, we will make another stamp on the side. So I'll wait for you to finish this part. Don't don't take too long to paint this. You might be overdoing something. A quick wash should be enough. Okay. Let me know when I can start the second stamp. All right, shall we begin? Okay, this stamp we can
The
make.
leaves also. Aditi, did the leaves also you put the stain or no?
Yeah,
Not on the
put
leaf.
the leaves all over. I've just left this because I wanted the color, the backdrop to end a little away from the edge.
Okay.
Okay, now there's one picture that I've shared which is a little beetle on these blue cornflowers, maybe. I don't know what they are. So that's a very simple stamp to make. Again, we want to make a rectangle or a square. This time you can choose whatever you want to. And we'll draw the beetle, which is an oval like this. And not exactly at the center, I've made it a little off center. And then we will add these flowers. Any 5-petal flowers are fine. And this time the flowers are going close to the edge. You can also paint them outside the edge. Notice how the center of the flower has a very cute design to it. There's almost like a star shape that comes, oh, not in the center of the flower, on the edges of the petals. Sorry. Totally misread that. So you have the star shape come along the edge of the petals. And a hollow in the middle. And as far as the beetle is concerned, we've drawn this oval. On the oval on the left hand side, we will draw a small curved line which will show you the front and head, or the thorax, I guess, of the beetle. And on the top, a curved line that will give us the contour of the beetle. Don't draw any legs or anything right now. This one also we can paint like the bird, where we can paint a backdrop and then paint the flowers. But I'm not going to do that, just so that we can move a little faster. We'll make a little watery shade with ultramarine blue. Palak, I'll show you what your color would be. For us, this color is over here, the middle blue color.
I think can you give us a minute to finish?
Yes.
I haven't.
You know which is ultramarine? Oh, it's so difficult to tell from these dark colors. Mm, any deep blue, I think you can use this one. This should be ultramarine, the one on the top. The color next to that is also very bluish, so you can use that as well. Right, so this one is a very simple painting. You just apply a little bit of this blue on the center, like this. Maybe on 2-3 petals at a time. And then take a little bit of water, very little bit of water, or just not even that. You can wipe the brush on your rag and pull this color outward. We do all these things when we will do flowers. Don't worry about that. But for now, I'm just showing you a quick technique. So while I try to give all of you instructions about what to do to make a particular effect, I I think at the end of the day, it's a little bit about becoming familiar with how your tools work, how your individual hand works. So the more time you spend with it, have faith that what you are experiencing is unique, and I may try to guess that that's what is happening at my end is also what's happening at your end, but that may not always be the case. So like in this case, I'm using a particular brush. My medium lasts up to maybe 4 or even 5 petals. Then I can wash the brush, take a little bit of medium in the wet brush, and pull this color outward. I can do that, and I've probably been doing that for a long time. But in your case, even if I'm describing this to you, you may not get the same result. So that probably has nothing to do with the fact that you are, it may not be that you're doing anything wrong. You may be following the steps the way I ask you to do it, but if it is not happening, then there must be something unique that you and your brush, and how you paint, and how much water there is in the brush, how much it can hold. All of these factors are worth observing. And you don't even have to note this down. Like we're not in a science lab trying to experiment with things, but we do want to replicate good results. So beyond a point, trust your tools. How's everyone doing?
The second flower.
Second flower? Okay, let me know when you're done with the flowers, then I can move forward. Okay, so for the next one, it's again now just a matter of painting all the other details. So for the apples, use a little bit of orange and scarlet in palette like this. And here I will leave a very, very sharp, stark highlight. Slowly pull this apple color down. This is orange and scarlet. And as I'm bringing this down, I will increase the amount of scarlet that I use. You can go over the beak of the bird if you feel like it, but I'm dodging around it because it's a dark color, it doesn't really matter. And then as I come down, I am going to add a third color to it. Now these shades are very thick paint. There is very little water in it. And that's why they're going to appear quite vibrant by the time I finish painting. So in the first layer itself, I will get an apple which has got a highlight and a shadow. And the colors I used were a mix of orange and scarlet, this one, and burnt umber, which is this one. So any deep brown is fine. And we just repeat the same everywhere. So one note is that please do spread your colors in the palette. Don't use them directly from the cakes. That way you can keep an eye on the consistency and the shade on the palette itself. If sometimes when we pick up paint from the cakes, it is too dense or it's too thick when we want something else. So this size painting is so fun to make instead of making those very large paintings every time. And if you have maybe just 10-15 minutes, you can practice everything that we are doing in the larger paintings in this size painting also. We have washes, blends, textures, lettering. When you are adding a second layer or you're blending colors, you can take a little bit of scarlet and burnt umber and then blend it also. Because the two pigments should not seem like they are not talking to each other. My color dried over here. Such a tiny space. So I'm just adding more scarlet over here. Let's see. Now the same colors that we've used for the apple, we can use on the beetle also. And this time round, we just leave two white spots just by the neck. These are a V shape on either side like that. And paint everything else with a highlight somewhere on the top left here. Same colors. Sometimes insects have got a very complicated shape on their backs, but we're just going to simplify it. This is the same, orange and scarlet first. So the orange is there to brighten the scarlet so that we can get a lightish shade of scarlet, but it does not have to be a watery shade. And as you come away from the highlight, you can add more scarlet. Make sure that you get the right shape of the beetle. So it's important to move your artwork around so that your hand is comfortable when you're painting all of this. At such a small scale, we cannot afford for the hand to slip. I will come back later to fill the details up. So when we do the travel retreats, this is one thing that we have done in the past also. So that when you don't have time but you want to quickly capture something, you make thumbnail illustrations. Let me see if I can show you something that we made earlier. So you often see, you'll come across a lot of things that you want to put down, but you may not have the time for it to make a big painting. Yeah, so you can make something like this, which is just a few washes, and maybe you can show the water, you can show a hazy morning or something like that. This will not take more than 10 minutes. And as you can see, it's just about the size of the stamps that we're making. But it's such a lovely picture to bring back home. Okay, how's everyone doing? All okay? Anyone holding their breath? Take a deep breath, relax. All right, let's move on to the bird now, and let's paint the bird's colors in. As usual, we will start off by painting the gray bits, and the gray will be made using black, burnt umber, just a little bit of burnt umber, and this time maybe we can also use an ultramarine blue. So it's a bluish gray. And if I were to make it with brown, it would become a brownish warm gray. So the grays can also have tones. You have a cool gray and you have a warm gray. So I'm using the cool gray, that is black, burnt umber and ultramarine blue. Black, burnt umber and ultramarine blue. And I get this nice bluish shade with which I establish the under painting for the bird. Again, there isn't too much paint in my brush. I just want you to observe this. It's very little, very subtle. Go over the sections that we have to paint black later on, so you know where it's going to come. This is like making an outline but using a brush. Now I can see that my gray is a little too dark, so I'm going to make a little shadow by pressing the brush underneath the bird's wings, and a few shadows over here for the different colored feathers, the back of the bird, some sections between the wings, underneath the wing, and maybe the tip of the tail. So this gray color will give our bird some 3D effect. It's just an underpainting. At the same time, we can use a shade of the brown, this burnt umber and black and ultramarine blue, to paint the tree branches. Now make it a thin line, don't paint the whole thing, leave some gaps. And don't make it too dark. Mine is going to hopefully become light, I hope. Or you can use a green also for this. And now, without having to tell you color by color, I'm just going to show you. I keep my palette like this, ready and available. And if you want, just keep your brushes down for a minute and observe the process of painting. I have all the shades I need over here. So when I'm making the leaves, I will first start off with one of these yellow-brown kind of shades. And now I don't remember which one it is, but it could be a yellow ochre and a burnt umber or something like that. And I'm taking these lines and I'm making some start for the leaves. And they need to be made when the paint is still a little wet. That's why I can't show you and tell you at the same time. And you can freely mix these colors. They will look like a very interesting backdrop. This is also going to become much lighter. I could have made it a slightly thicker shade. But if it is too light, then I can give it some shading. And every other color is also added like the gray in small bits wherever you see it. So first start off with a cerulean blue. Just make sure that there is no leaf coming there which we've just painted. There is a little space above the eye which is white. That's quite significant. It makes the eye stand out. And then you have this blue. This is just cerulean blue. Then underneath the neck there is a little white collar. And then again you have the blue. And basically the whole bird can be painted in cerulean blue first. Just watch out for those few parts, like there's a section over here which has white. These are again on the top of the wings, so don't paint that. And just ignore all the details, just paint the entire bird blue. And if you have it, just the top of the beak also, if you can see it. I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Huh? I'm trying to look for the name of this bird. Okay, shall we move on?
Yeah, I'm done. I just wanted the spelling of that artist. I'm not able to find.
Oh, Jan Van Eyck. Found it?
Thank you. I'll check.
Okay. Okay, now the parts over here which are black, you can easily make this with a pen also. So if you're not comfortable with painting it, go ahead and make it with a pen. And as my strategy is that even when you're making it with a pen, start a little inside of the section. Start making the coloring inside the section and then move outward, whichever section you are coloring. So I will paint over here first and then spread the color outside. Because if your paint is a little watery and you didn't realize that, and you start painting it at an edge, and then there are other things over there which attract your paint, then that's it. Then your paint is going to run into those areas which you don't want. And I've gone through all these problems. Now, when you're making the dots on the ladybug as well, you can use a pencil if you want. Make sure that you want to make the mark where it is in the reference image. And when you're making that, don't make a circle here. Just move your brush back and forth so that it looks like a textured pigmentation. The edges are a little fuzzy. And then literally with the hair of your one hair of your brush, if your brush is cooperative, you will draw a few lines at the bottom which can resemble the legs. The same black color can go inside the flowers I would also make something like this. I put a little shadow on the sides to show that there is a rim of some kind of texture, and that rim was yellow, but I've just ignored that. Now here's one thing that I also do, and I deliberately wanted to show you this on the Beatles picture. You can use your pencil graphite to create shadows. So just below the beetle, shade that just a little bit lightly with your pencil. Not too dark, because then you don't want to make it too dark, so that the shape of the beetle itself changes. But just like regular shading that we would do on paper, if we were to draw this in pencil, just that same thing can be done. It's a very subtle effect. You can possibly do the same thing even underneath the flowers, like that. See? Or where the petals overlap. And that should do it. That's our stamp. Now look for a number 0 or 00 or 1, or a very sharp pointed brush like that. My number 2 brush is pretty sharp. Use a very thick paint this time. We are going to use some black, and we are going to use some, I think we can use a little bit of cobalt blue this time. So the difference between cobalt blue and ultramarine blue is that ultramarine blue has got somewhat a purplish tinge to it, but cobalt blue has almost like the kind of blue you see in fountain pen ink, that kinds. And using this cobalt blue, thick paint, not too thin, not too runny, test it out. Paint something on the paper or on a rough paper to see that it is indeed pretty thick, and you can start marking the dark sections, even the black sections in cobalt blue first. And if you feel that the color is too dense, you want to reduce the color, don't wash your brush. Remove the excess color on a rag. We do not want excess water at this stage at all. Don't make too many details which you can't see. So we'll just make this V shape of the wing with parallel lines which look like fences. Then you can make these very cute feathers on the sides. They're like a texture. First make the broad shapes, whatever you can make. Don't bother about the details right now. So in some places where there are 10 lines, just draw 2 or 3, because our scale is so tiny, everything is going to merge. And now finally, if you want to, we can pull in the black. And always you can do this one thing, roll your brush on the palette like that to ensure that your tip is available for you to paint with. Just pull it backward, roll it. Every time you pick up the color, test the brush thickness. And by right at the end, you should feel comfortable enough to make the eye. Whenever you're making the eye, remember that the eye has a highlight. Don't make the eye fully black, otherwise it'll look like a Disney villain. So wherever you can leave a gap, leave that gap and make the eye. And you can overlay some of the blue with the black. This way you get very soft lines. And finally, you make the feet. Now remember, the feet of birds are exceptionally scary looking things. So don't try to make them too big. Just make inverted Y shapes like that and leave it. They just have to look like they're anchored. We don't have to do too many details. I've seen many sketches change completely and look really horrid as soon as the feet come in. Now beyond this point, all detailing is up to you. You can detail the leaves more, flowers or anything that you want to. Completely up to you. Shadows. And every time you're layering, paint something less or paint something else. That's it. So now we have 2 stamp illustrations ready. But we have to put some text on it, and then we have to use make perforations. So I have some space over here. So I want to put the number 23 over here because it was my daughter's 23rd birthday yesterday. I made a very sweet thing for my younger daughter whose 21st birthday. It was on Saturday. And it'd be really terrible of me to not make one for either of them. So before you do anything on the stamps, see how much space you have, and right next to that, make a box. So I'm going to make all of you write 23 with me. If you want to write another number, please go ahead. So I have this box about this size, and I'm going to write the number like this. There are of course many fonts with which you can write. I want my number to be upright, mostly narrow, and this is the number I'm writing. So if we want to make it look vintage letters had a particular style to them, which was that everything on the upright side would be thickened a little bit. So I will have a little circle or dot here, and I will change this shape to a little serpentine shape like this, and give a little thickness to the circle on the right side, no circle or no thickness on the left, and maybe I can give a wave like that. So this becomes a cute 20 or 2. Same thing on the 3, nothing on the slant, but a little thickness on this side and a little dot over there. So this is what I have done essentially. For those of you who are craning to see this, this is the shape. And I can give this part also a nice curve. I mean, you can put whatever style letter you want over here. It's all up to you. And I want to do something fun where I'm going to put the number behind the beetle. So this is our number component. Then I could put like the letter Y because she is 23 years old. And where we write the name of the city or country, I could write her name, or I could even do something like you have now, like the Democratic Republic of so and so place. You could just change those words and make that fun as well. So I'm just going to write her name for now because I haven't given that a thought. And even the name, write a baseline and write the names with serifs. So a serif is that additional part on letters, like this horizontal line on the I. On the R, there is a serif towards the left and the bottom of this upright line. And these horizontal lines on the top and bottom. And there is a rule to which lines get thickness. Usually the right and the rounded lines get thickness. And this is all based on some Roman lettering. Now, just so that the colors look fun, I don't want to write all the text in one color. I'll write her name in an orange so that it stands out. This part also can be done with a pen. And number 23 can be painted in black. Now I could put more stuff on this, like the year. I could put a 2025. I could put all sorts of things, really. And here's the reason why we don't cut the paper before. Now, I think my 3 can go outward a little bit, and I can expand the size of my stamp just a little bit. So if you want to learn the lettering bit now, I sincerely urge all of you to sign up for a few months on the calligraphy class group, because no matter how much I can do in the regular classes, we once in a while we do have a special lettering module, but you do all of this, and then when the letters are not elegant, it just feels so sad. Okay, so now I can go on and on with this, but this time now I'm going to just straighten out the lines a little bit, and I could use a scale for this. Give me.
Aditi, I'm going to leave at this stage, but I'm good till now.
All right. Okay.
Thank you. I'll send a photograph.
Yes, that'll be nice.
Thank you.
Bye. I'm making a new square, and this square now we're going to perforate. And this time I've just made the square according to the design, not necessarily according to the envelope. But I suppose once you get the idea of why the proportion is necessary, you know what to do with it. Okay, so make these lines run a little beyond the corners. And now you can take your soft cloth and a safety pin and very carefully make holes on all the sides, keeping them the same distance apart and on the line. So the soft cloth is meant to be to receive the sharp edge of your puncturing device. There are also perforating rollers, I think. You can use that. And commercially, perforation is done on a machine where they align the perforation, and there's just like you would have a blade. There is something which has a whole lot of these pins that are attached, and that thing just comes down and perforates in one shot and goes off. So this was literally my time pass in school for so long. I have been doing these kind of perforations in paper since the 5th standard. And when I sent letters to my friends, I would do this. I would make some stamps and put them inside on the letters, just as stickers. The perforated edges are also an identity of postage stamps. So we can use this idea on maybe a strip of such illustrations that you can make and gift them to somebody so that they can cut and use it whenever they want to. And if you want to make this almost like a product, a gift product, you can make all these illustrations and have them printed and perforated and share them also. That's it. So this becomes my stamp. And I have done these in the past also, where I have printed out my pictures and tried these. I used to put these in some of my letters also. You see the name of these were painted, I think, in a slightly larger size. So this says Champa, name of the flower, and the doodle factory. There's no denomination on these, so that they're not confused as stamps, as postage stamps. So I just didn't put any number on it. Okay, now before you tear anything away, let's erase all the lines.
I just wanted to show you this. Should I fill in some more blue flowers? You think, is it too empty looking?
You could. One second, let me just see.
Or let it be?
Wait, let me just see. No, I think it's nice.
Yeah, that's my mother's name also, Ira, and she was 91 yesterday.
What? Same day?
Yes, yesterday was my mother's 91st birthday.
Oh my
And,
God, I cannot.
and her name is Ira.
It's incredible. I must tell my Ira this. Okay, and then, so now all you have to do is just fold it on the perforation so that you can make the paper slightly weak, and you get this perforated edge. This is so cute. I love it.
What we writing on our birdie?
On the bird, I haven't found the name of the bird. You can write that,
Okay.
or you can write anything you want. You can say, depending upon who you're giving it to, you
Huh?
can write their name, or if it's an occasion, anything can be written. So let's say, if it's going to be on an envelope, that is just going to be like a thank you card. So you can even write thank you or appreciation or something like that. Okay, you just have to be very careful when you're cutting this. I almost tore it. But if it is not tearing easily, the solution is to make the holes bigger. So just go right into the fabric through the hole. Then it makes it a lot easier. There you have it. That's it.